Section E, Group Dynamics, E1, Group Processes. Okay, first thing, what makes a team? So they say a team or a group is two or more people working together to achieve a goal usually, and that goal can be a task like winning a league, or it can be the goal of being sociable, something like that. So in order for this to happen, the group needs to be able to work together. So I put the example here of attack, defence and tactics. If your team cannot work in attack, so they know where the rest of the team are without actually particularly looking, you know where you're going to be, you can rely on each other, you know when to move from attack to defence, you know your position in the tactics, you know which direction you've got to run and the timing and of all of that. This is all interaction within the team, and it's what makes a team successful. Within a team, you've got your own responsibilities as well. So that's positional roles like whether you're a wing defence, a goal defence or a centre, and your roles of responsibility. So are you a captain or a vice captain, possibly? So within the team, you would know your own responsibilities and you would know the responsibilities and roles of other people within that team. So success of the team is dependent on how effective you can work together to achieve those goals. So how effective is your interaction between the group, verbal, non-verbal, how used to each other are you, how well can you predict what the other people are going to do. If you know people really well, if you work together, you've got lots of experience together and you like each other, then you're more likely to have better interaction, which will make your team more successful. So there are two types of team. There's interactive teams and coactive teams. You can be interactive, you can be coactive, but you don't have to be coactive and interactive. So let's have a look. Interactive teams, it's outcome dependent on a team working closely together. So what that means is that if a team works closely together, then they're going to get the outcome that they want. All team sports, invasion games, so we're looking at hockey, netball, football, are interactive. And I've put even equestrian or golf. So when you're working as a part of a team to achieve a goal, even if you're doing slightly different events, then you all club together to add your points up together, so you are a team. So your performance is relevant to everybody else because they're added up. This is interactive. So coactive is when team members are doing the same thing at the same time. So an aerobics class, for example, is a team that is not interactive but is coactive. So they are doing the same thing at the same time. They're doing their workout, whether it be high intensity interval training or body pump or something like that, but they're there doing the same thing. So they're a team, they're a group of people, but there's not necessarily any interaction to achieve their goal, or certainly there's no interaction to achieve their goal of improving fitness. However, you can have coactive teams where you've got team members doing the same thing at the same time, but working with interaction as well to develop their goals, such as a rowing team. So they will interact as to coordinate the action of the paddle in the water. They will encourage each other when one is tired, and so on and so forth. You need to be able to define a team, and you need to give examples of both interactive, coactive, and possibly those that are coactive and interactive. And be confident enough that you can identify, if they give you a sport, you can identify which type of team they fit into. Okay, so we've got a group now, we know what a group is, and now Tuckman has developed 5 stages, or said that a group goes through 5 stages before they are performing well in a real true group. It's worth bearing in mind that each of these stages can be very short, can be very long, there's no predetermined amount, and they can change between groups, even if it's got the same members. It really depends on the leader, the coaching climate, the skills that you're learning, the atmosphere that you're learning in, interest and experience and various things like that. So it's completely varied, and one stage may take a lot longer than other stages. So stage 1 is the forming stage. And it's important to remember it's when the group comes together. It's familiarisation between the members. Structure and relationships are formed and tested. Strategies are used to get to know each other, and the members ask if they fit in. So we would put this into a visual concept by saying the group are walking, let's say Year 7 group coming into the sports hall for the first time, and they're walking through the door together. So the group is coming together. There's familiarisation between members. So if you think from week to week, 1 week to the next week, there'll be a friendly hello and how's your week been and all of this sort of thing. Just general chit-chat familiarisation as you get to recognise members of the team. The structure and relationships are formed and tested. So the structure and relationships of the interaction between you is formed in over time as you do different drills in different group sizes and you move around and work with different people. These relationships will be formed. Strategies used by the coach to get to know each other would be the example I used in the lesson of a warm-up, where it's an interactive warm-up, or there's interaction between you where you do the high fives, trying to make it funny for people so they laugh and become familiar with each other and just become easy with each other. When they finish that session and they're walking out of the gym, let's say after the first session, the second and the third, so they're still relatively new to it, they're asking themselves, do I fit in with the group? Do I belong here? If the answer is yes, then they're going to move to stage 2, which is storming, hopefully, across to here. And if the answer is no, then perhaps that they choose to leave that team and go somewhere else. So we've moved from stage 1 to stage 2 up here. So we've got stage 2, storming. So it's the period of conflict where people seek their roles and status. So that means there can be arguments between the team members. There can be arguments between the team members and the leader. And this is usually because people are trying to show their status within the group, so they're performing, and it's possible that if you're going for a goal attack position and somebody else is also vying for that goal attack position, that you have a bit of a look round and you think, oh right, okay, they could be going for this as well, so I'm going to have to try a little bit harder. It could be that they don't agree with the way the coach is doing something, as they have done it differently in the past or something like that. But there's quite a lot of unease as people get to know each other and accept each other for who they are and what their skills are and the way they've been the way they've been taught. So we've got a period of conflict. We have got them seeking their roles and status, causing conflict between the members. Some group members may rebel against the leader and the management style of play. So let me explain those. So if they're rebelling against the leader, it could be the leader's style, so they may use autocratic when actually they prefer a democratic or are used to something quite different. The management could be down to how he or she selects the team, or how they organise the team, whether they're used to getting it by Facebook group account, or whether they get a phone call, etc. It may be how the session is run, and who they get to do things, and the style of play. If your strategies and tactics and even down to your techniques are slightly different, there could be some rebellion from some members who don't really like the change. So it's intense intergroup competition, and the competition comes because each person is trying to show that they're worthy of that position or that role over another person. So it shows their capabilities and their abilities, if you like, and they're competing for their position. So your main parts here to remember in this, because there is quite a lot there, is you've got conflict for roles and status, roles being positional roles, or being whether you're going to be captain, vice captain, so on and so forth. It's between the members and it's also towards the leader as well. If you're rebelling against the leader, it could possibly be down to their management style, so how they're leading the session, how they're organising fixtures, etc., and the style of play. So that would be related to techniques, strategies and tactics. This competition is to show their capabilities so they can compete for these roles and their status. So moving on then from the storming, we go down to stage 3, which is norming. So things are starting to settle down a little bit at this point. So the hostility and friction has settled. So any friction between the team players has settled down. So it's a lot calmer than it was before. If there are people that aren't settled within the club, they tend to leave, or if it's something they're not quite used to and they don't really like it, but they think, look, I can see the benefits from staying here, I'm getting more benefits from it than I am detriments to my performance, so they just accept the role and move on. Cooperation is key at this point, where the team members start working together, so they get this interaction, which was the definition of what a group is in the first place, and this interaction to work towards their goals. Now, what I really mean by their goals is a shared goal. Roles and positions are fully established, so that might be that the coach has said, right, you're doing this job, you're doing this job. It might be that the team have agreed that that's how it's going to be. And we're basically into this area of stability, which is where you really want a team to be. So moving on from here, we go round into stage 4, which is the performing stage. So this is a pretty good stage to be on. It's the final stage. I know there's stage 5 as well, but we'll find out what that is in a minute. It's referred to as the final stage, and it means that the group is working together. They're working together to achieve mutually agreed goals. So they all know what they're working towards, and everyone is doing their part, their role to play to establish that. Relationships are fully established. That's between members and between member and the leader. But although these are well established, there may well be some changes, and that's not a bad thing either. So time does move on. We might talk a year, you might be talking 2 years, but someone might leave, someone might get injured and someone else has got to replace them. You may get some new extra players in. So there will be changes to positions and changes to the numbers in the team and the people in the team. If that's the case and you do get these changes in the new members, it may go back through storming and norming, so stage 2 and stage 3 again, before people either accept the group again, which was in stage 3, norming, and leave, or possibly leave the group. But like I say, this addition of new members gets the group to reevaluate them and can be beneficial because it does prevent boredom. It keeps it lively. However, there is a limit on there, and they say 2 to 3 new members per year is good. But if you get more than that, oh dear, it's not a good thing, it's a bad thing. It can really disrupt the group, and they'll take a step back in terms of their performance. So we've got this final stage, stage 5, but don't forget here, that stage 4 can go back to stage 2, and stage 2 will go back to stage 3 before coming back round to stage 4. But if the group is staying the same here, we're going to go to stage 5, adjourning. So what does that mean? So let's say your team have been together 4 or 5 years, and maybe it's 4 years, maybe they're working towards an Olympic goal, and their goals have been reached. They've reached their goals here. The team may break up. So not all groups go to adjourning, not all groups go to stage 5. So the breakup can be caused by considerable change that we mentioned down in stage 4, so such as new players or new management. Not all teams go to this stage. And that's about it for Tuckmans. You need to know 3 or 4 points for each one and identify within a case study which stage the group may be in and talk about why there may be issues with it. So finally, we're talking about productivity, this area is called. And productivity is about how efficient a team works given the sum of all their parts. So we've briefly spoken about the England team before, but if you take the England team, the England football team, and you add up all the potential that they have and you put them together on the pitch, you would expect to get great things. But as we well know, they're constantly underperforming in terms of expectation. And why is that? And one of the reasons for that could be that there's research done to say that the more people you have in a team, the less percentage of effort you're going to get out of those people. So let's say each person works at 90% if they're by themselves. When they work as a group, it could go down to, if let's say there's 4 of them, it could go down to 80% each. If the group doubles to 8, their effort levels could go down to 60% or something like that. So what the theory says is that the more people there are, the more issues there are in terms of cohesion, and therefore the less effective each person is, each part of that is. And this is down to a couple of things. First of all, let's look at the bottom here. So this is Steiner's model we're looking at down here at the bottom. You have got actual productivity. So this is what people actually produce, what they do. And it is equal to the potential. So if we look here, this is our England team. That if you look at individual players, are very, very talented, and well, some of them are. And we said if we add those all together, then potentially we should have a very strong team. It's our best possible outcome. However, we have to look at the process losses. So we've got to look at where things go wrong. And there's 2 types of these. There's coordination losses. So that means when you're with a team of people, that people may not time their tactics or their strategies quite right, or their passes quite right, because there's lots of people involved. So if there was only 2 people involved, it would be much easier to coordinate movement. But if there's lots of you, then that makes that a little bit harder. The other thing is, like I've explained already, this phenomenon that the more people there are, the less effort people put in, because they think they can hide, they think they can get away with it. So going back to this equation, if you've got potential, what's written down and what you think you should be able to do, and then you take away coordination and motivation losses, that is your actual productivity, and that may not, and highly likely not to be, you're at the same level as your potential. So it could be a reason as to why the England football team are not working particularly well. The other picture that you've got here is the British cycling team, which actually is very well known for being very cohesive. So they interact with each other, and they're doing the same activity. So they're a coactive team, and they're not working against another team. So they're doing the same thing. So I'm going to go back up to the top now and look at these 2 things. So we're looking at the Ringelmann effect, and we're looking at social loafing. So social loafing is a motivational loss. So it's linked to motivational losses down here in the faulty processes there. And it describes the tendency of an individual to expend less effort when working as part of a team than as an individual. So as I said, an individual could work at 100%, and then when they're working in a team of 12, they might actually only put 60% of effort in. So there's lots of research gone into that to prove that that does happen. For an individual to become increasingly less productive as the group size increases, and this is called the Ringelmann effect. And the way they tested this was with a tug of war. So they had people on the tug of war, and that's your rope, and there's the other people. And if each person can pull 10 newtons, let's say, so that's 30 newtons, when they pull together, they only pull 20 newtons. So where's that other 10 newtons gone? Well, it's to do with the more people that you have, the less coordination and the less effort you have. So this is the Ringelmann effect. That's it for that section.